If you use the Digger's Hotline ProPortal to file your tickets, it is important you watch this video because it will explain an upcoming change to how the ProPortal will handle the processing of a no-show relocate. The video will also clearly explain how and when to use which relocate type, as well as end with a reminder about the importance of the contact information on your tickets. The change to how no-show relocates are processed came from recommendations of current ProPortal users like yourself. No-show relocates are specifically used when utilities do not mark their underground lines by the start date and time on your ticket. No-show relocates should only be sent to those utilities who have not located your ticket, which is why we allow the suppressing of the utilities who have located on time. Suppressing simply means not sending that ticket to those utilities who did locate correctly and on time. It is important that you properly identify the utilities who did and did not locate on time for a couple reasons. The first reason is it saves the utilities who located properly time and money of not having to go back out there and relocate it again. The other reason is we track utilities who do not locate on time by running reporting on the no-show relocates you process. That data is then shared with the utilities to hopefully improve their on-time locating. So thank you for taking the time to watch this video. Let's take a look at what is changing with the no-show relocate. Before I show you what is going to change with no-show relocates, let's first take a look at how no-show relocates are processed in the current system. You'll see here on the screen, I have a ticket in the search engine. I'm going to click on it to highlight it. To access the update area, I have to either right-click on the ticket and choose Update, or go to the top and choose Update. The Update option is what opens up a ticket and prepares it to be processed as a relocate. Now my cursor is at the ticket types. I can drop that ticket type list down to look for the type of ticket that I want. In this case, I want the Relo No-Show option. And when I select that, it now makes my ticket ready to be processed as a no-show relocate. Now I want you to look over at that member list, which is to the right of the page above the map. That member list right now has no checks in the checkboxes next to the members. That checkbox is the suppression checkbox. If that box was clicked, the member would display with having its text kind of struck through, like a line through the text. As you can see here, all those checkboxes default to unchecked, and that means all those member companies are going to receive a copy of that ticket by default. That will be the main difference between the current system and the changes that we are making to no-show relocates. Now that we have reviewed how no-shows work in the old system, let's take a look at how they will work in the new system. I'm here at the search engine again with a list of tickets. I've highlighted the ticket which I want to relocate. To be able to relocate that, all you have to do again is either right-click on that ticket and choose Update, or you can go to the top of the page and there's the Update button. Clicking Update brings you to the ticket that's ready to be updated, or in this case relocated, so I have to drop down the ticket type list. Then I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to look for the no-show relocate or Relo no-show, and I'm going to click on that. In this new system, when I click on the no-show relocate option, it's going to pop up an informative window. This pop-up message is explaining to you how the no-show relocate works. We really want to make sure you understand the changes, so we put in this little simple pop-up to try to help with that. Pop-up says, you have selected a no-show relocate ticket. In the member list section of this page, you must click on the box next to the utilities who have not located and need to respond to this no-show relocate. Utilities who have located properly should be left with the box checked. Any utilities with the box checked will not receive a copy of this ticket. This box then will wait for you to click on the I understand message because we want to make sure that you do understand these new changes. So simply click on the I understand option and that will close that pop-up window. Now I'd bring your attention to the member list section of this ticket. You can see over in the upper right-hand corner member list that all the members are screened out at this point. Those boxes are checked. This is the main difference now between the old system and the new. So if we were to review the old system, you'd see that all those boxes are unchecked, and you are selecting, in that case, the member who has responded properly. In the new system, all those boxes are checked. So in this case, you are going to uncheck those companies who did not locate properly. And you're going to leave the boxes checked for the companies who did locate properly. So it is a flipping of this to make it a more reasonable approach. We want you to identify the companies who have not located properly on this no-show relocate. Once you have identified which member companies have located properly by your start date and time and which ones have not located properly, the next step is to utilize that member list to select the companies who have not responded to your locate properly and need to respond to this new no-show relocate. What you do is you review that list, go into it, and simply uncheck the companies which have not responded properly or did not locate by your start date and time. In this case, I have unchecked AT&T, Diggers Hotline, and TDS. The other companies I'm leaving checked because they did locate properly. Now, you may also have to scroll down in this list to make sure that you have identified all the member companies. But once you are certain that all the companies are properly selected and the companies that are unchecked are the ones who need to come back out and relocate, you simply go back to the top of the page, click on either Save and Close or Save, and that will finalize your no-show relocate. It'll bring up your new ticket number, and your no-show relocate will be complete. You simply click OK, and it will bring you back to the search engine. In the old system, with the member list being unchecked, you could come into a no-show relocate, simply click Save and Close, and have that relocate notify everyone in the member list. That was a problem in the old system because there was concerns that excavators were not really reviewing the member list properly and identifying which member companies should get a copy of that ticket and which ones should not. They were just simply coming in, not checking any of the boxes, and hitting Save and Close. So that ticket now goes out to every member company in that list. Because we've switched that process now to having every member company checked in that window, we can't allow someone to just come into a ticket and click Save and Close without interacting with the member list. Because if you remember how this is now changed, if we allowed that, that means that no member companies, in this case, would get a copy of the ticket because they're all checked or suppressed. So what we put in was a pop-up. If you click Save and Close without unchecking anyone, you're going to get a validation error message. It's going to advise you that the error occurred, and it will tell you that you have not selected any members to receive this ticket, and to please click on the box next to the members who have not located and need to receive this no-show relocate. So if you do get that error message, it's telling you that you did not uncheck anyone from that list over there in the member list. All you have to do at that point is simply click OK to close the validation error, go back into that ticket, and uncheck the member companies who did not respond and leave the member companies who did respond checked. A common question we often receive regarding no-show relocates is how exactly should I know who has responded and who has not responded to my locate request so I can file an accurate no-show relocate? There's two ways you can accomplish that, and they work hand in hand. The first is to have your field people do what we call a site survey. Go out there to the work site and look around to see if there are any paint or flags for any of the utilities on your ticket. If there are markings out there in the field, have your people tell the person who's going to do the no-show relocate who has responded according to what they see out in the field. But the field may not be the only indicator as to who has responded and who has not. there is something called Positive Response here in Wisconsin. It is a voluntary program for the utilities and the locators. Positive Response means that the utilities will provide a status of your locates out there in the field. And they provide that status into the Digger's Hotline system so you can view it as part of your ticket information. To access Positive Response, you pull up a ticket in the search engine that you want to look at, highlight it, and then you can either right-click and choose Responses, which is the green flag, or you can click on View up here at the top and choose Responses. Either way, that's going to open up a window like this. It's going to show you the positive response statuses for the utilities on that locate request. Because it is voluntary here in Wisconsin, not every company might provide a response. So if you see something where it says not participating next to a utility company name, it means those companies are not participating in positive response. So you won't get a status here in the system for them. You will want to check out there in the field to see if they have responded or if they've located in some way. So on this ticket, City of New Richmond Utilities and Mid-Continent Communications are not participating, so you won't have a status for them. However, the other utilities that are on this ticket, Frontier Communications, Northwest Communications, St. Croix Electric Cooperative, and Xcel Energy are all participating in positive response, so they have provided a status. If you look at Frontier, the status says no conflict complete. No conflict means that they have been out there or reviewed your ticket and determined that they have no underground lines in the specific area where you're going to be digging. So as far as Frontier is concerned, they're not at risk for the work that you're doing. They consider this their work done in terms of locating, and there's no conflict with them. Northwest Communications also said no conflict, and St. Croix Electric said there was no conflict. Xcel Energy, on the other hand, has said they marked it and it's complete, and that they marked it with paint and flags. So your field personnel should have seen markings for Xcel Energy out there in the field. But they may not have seen markings at all for Frontier, Northwest, and St. Croix. So how do you use this positive response? Well, it's useful in this case because, again, if only Xcel Energy located out there in the field, the people out in the field may have only seen markings for Xcel. They would not have any idea based upon their site survey as to what the status for St. Croix, Northwest, or Frontier would be. So if you were doing a no-show relocate without checking positive response, you may have sent a no-show relocate to St. Croix, Northwest, Frontier, City of New Richmond, and Mid-Continent, without understanding that 3 companies out of those have actually responded. So you can use this positive response to help you identify who has or has not located. So in this case, if I were going to do a no-show relocate for this ticket, and I didn't see markings out there in the field for the City of New Richmond Utilities or Mid-Continent Communications, I would likely file that no-show relocate only on those 2 companies, because Frontier, Northwest, and St. Croix all said there's no conflict, and Xcel Energy said they marked. So if there are actually Xcel markings out there, they wouldn't need a copy of it either. So what I would do is I would close this window, come back in here to the ticket, and do an update to get to the relocate options. So here I am in the Reload No-Show for that ticket. You can see it's defaulted to all of those utility companies being checked. What I would do in this case, given that I now know the positive response information, is I would uncheck City of New Richmond. I would uncheck Mid-Continent. Those are the 2 companies who did not participate in positive response, and I did not see markings out there in the field for them. The other companies, Frontier, Northwest, St. Croix, and Xcel, all said there was either no conflict or they had marked. So in this case, what I'm doing is I'm selecting those companies who have not responded. I don't have markings out there in the field for them, and I'm going to only send that ticket to those companies. I've utilized positive response to rule out Frontier, Northwest, and St. Croix. I used my site survey to rule out Xcel Energy. That is how you properly select your member list for a no-show relocate. With all the relocate types that Digger's Hotline offers, it can sometimes be confusing to figure out what is the best relocate for your specific situation. So let's take a look at which relocate is best for you. When determining the best relocate to use, you have to ask yourself two questions. Is your ticket valid, or is your ticket not valid? A valid ticket is defined as a ticket where the work began within 10 calendar days of the original start date and time, and did not stop for more than 10 calendar days at any point in time. So if your work did start within 10 days of that start date and time, and didn't stop for more than 10 days at any point, and has been ongoing, then your ticket is considered valid. If your work didn't start within that 10-day window, or stopped for more than 10 days at some point, then your ticket is not valid. If your ticket is not valid, you have one relocate available to you. That is the standard relocate. That relocate will set your start date and time to default to 3 working days from the current date and time. If your ticket is valid, you have 2 additional questions to ask. Did the utilities not locate your original ticket? Or are the markings missing or destroyed? If the utilities didn't locate your ticket on time, then the relocate you should utilize is the No-Show Relocate. The No-Show Relocate asks that you identify which utility companies did locate on time and which did not, and only send that No-Show Relocate to the utilities who did not locate their facilities properly or on time. The No-Show Relocate will set your default start date and time to 1 hour from the current date and time. However, that 1 hour is not necessarily the time utilities have to locate. That is the time that they have to either locate or contact you in some way to let you know when they can get out there. And they have to get out there within 3 to 4 hours if they can't get out there immediately to relocate it. If your markings are missing or destroyed, then you ask yourself a couple of other questions. Is your crew on site or en route to that site? Or is your crew not on site and not going to be getting out there anytime soon? If your crew is currently on site waiting or is on their way to begin working, then you can utilize what's called the crew on site relocate. That relocate has the same response time as a no-show relocate. It means the utilities have typically 1 hour to either locate their facilities or call you and let you know when they can actually get out there and relocate those facilities. And again, typically they should be out there no later than 3 to 4 hours from that time period. If your crew is not on site or not en route to that site and you can wait a little longer, we ask that you utilize the 24-hour relocate or the standard relocate. The 24-hour relocate will set your start date and time a default of 24 hours from the current date and time. And the standard relocate will set your start date and time, again, 3 working days from the current date and time. There are many relocates to allow flexibility for you as an excavator. However, they can be confusing. If you should have any questions about which is the correct relocate for you to utilize, you can always contact our Portal Training Department at Diggers Hotline, and they'll be glad to assist you. One last item I would like to mention is the importance of the contacts on the tickets you submit. Contacts can often be an afterthought when submitting tickets to Diggers Hotline because the information often does not change. But it's so important that that information is kept current and up to date. The utility companies and locators who receive this information really do need those contacts to be updated and available because there are a lot of times they have to contact the caller or the field rep with questions. So in terms of the contact information on tickets, you can see at the top here we have the general excavator information, that's your general company information. The caller information that you provide us as the person filing the ticket. And then a field representative contact as well. Please make sure those phone numbers are numbers where people can actually be reached, or the email addresses are addresses that are actually checked by the people. And to be honest, the most important contact is that field rep typically. That field representative is the one that most of the utilities or locators will use if they have to ask questions about something at that work site. So please make sure that number goes through to someone who can assist them. If you have more field reps or other people on site that can be reached, you can always include those in the remarks field over there in the work location information. Simply add the name and phone number of the person on site who can be reached if there are other people outside of the caller or the field rep.